2009, curd of kine and milk of flocks with the best of lambs, and the rams of Bashan and he-goats with the very fittest wheat, and foaming grape blood was your drink. Well, grapes represent the heads, or represent, severed heads in ancient mythology. It's sort of a symbol of war. They are destroying their enemies through war in the Middle East, which is going on at this point. Yep. And even the he-goats is a reference to us. So Jeshurun grew fat and kicked. You grew fat and gross and coarse. They forsook the God who made them and spurned the rock of their support. So, Jeshurun represents the Hyksos people, also represents the country. They grew fat and rich, feasting on our blood and produce. They also, it also says they abandoned their God and their Savior, which would have been Jesus, or the suffering one. So this is where they're being punished for abandoning the Savior that was sent. But this was all part of the plan. In 2011, the incensed God, so enraged, with, they incensed God with alien things. So with Gentile things. Vexed God with abominations. So yeah, that's literally what I wrote. They enraged God by integrating with the Gentiles. So they weren't keeping their Hyksosianness. They weren't staying true to that. And a lot of Hyksosians believe that this is a reason that God punishes them. Sort of interesting that that's before one of the days they try to predict as the end of the world. Right before 2012. So, they sacrificed to demons, no gods, gods they had never known, new ones who came but lately, who stirred not your forebears' fears. So they sacrificed to pagan gods who, the Hyksosians call demons. Just Sanguina says, if you look at the Hawaiian fires pic, you will see that anything blue wasn't burned. It wasn't burned. Shipping, beach umbrellas, and houses. This is for them to see, not for me. It is called the Sephirot of blue fire. Yeah, definitely. It is very interesting. Yeah, they apply these occult beliefs to every single thing that they did. Everything they do. So, 2017, for a fire has flared in my wrath and burned to the bottom of Sheol, has consumed the earth and its increase eaten down to the base of the hills. Wait a second. Wait a second. We are missing something, and I forgot to read this. Did I skip past that? I did. I just skipped past everything. So 2013, I'm sorry, we skipped way past. We're at 2013 now. You neglected the rock who begot you, forgot the God who labored to bring you forth. So this may specifically be referring to the Messiah who forgot who... What did I write here? This means to the Messiah who forgot who he was in his royal ancestry going... Okay, yeah. So I think... It's talking specifically about... It could mean the Hyksosian people themselves, but I assume that since it specifically refers to God laboring and his only begotten son was the Messiah, I think what they're trying to refer to here, what I speculate, is that it's referencing the Messiah, and he forgot his connection to his royal ancestry going all the way back to Akhenaten. Now, do I actually think he forgot? No, but I think that he probably got a call around this point that he needs to come into being. I don't think that's our Messiah, because I think there's a Messiah son of Joseph and a Messiah son of David for every single generation. It's just sometimes they're not always active or known. So God saw and was vexed and spurned these sons and daughters. So God rejected these sons and daughters during the start of the Russian-Ukrainian war. Yeah, this is the next 7 years. Many of this type of Hyksos considered Ukraine to be their homeland. So, spurn these sons. Yeah, see, so it's like they're trying to reclaim their homeland. 2015, God said, I will hide my countenance from them and see how they fare in the end, for they are a treacherous breed, children with no loyalty in them. So God will not have his hand in this. The Hyksos will be left to their own devices. Now, there's some speculation that there's actually several different, but the two main different factions of Hyksosian, one of these is actually less favored, and since they tried to return to their land before it was time, there is a belief that they're being punished for that. Now, I don't know where I land on that, but that's just a bit of speculation from me as to what that means. In 2016, they incensed me with no gods, vexed me with their futilities. I'll incense them with a no folk, vex them with a nation of fools. Who started this whole clown world meme? I mean, I talked, if you've seen the stream with Charles Giuliani that I did, we discussed a little bit. I want to go into way greater detail on this at some point. I've been doing a bit of research, but I want to do a series on this. But clowns and their relationship to this Hyksosian bloodline, they've always been clowns, they've always been jesters. What is this image of the clown, and where did it come from? Well, I will say the clown world meme has been linked to Trump. His people were basically called degenerates by Hillary Clinton, and she also called him the Pied Piper president. So what is he? They also tried to tie him in with the whole Joker meme. So Trump was a Pied Piper jester who became president, making us a nation of fools. Also sort of reminds me of Tucker Carlson's book, Ship of Fools. But yeah, that's exactly what has happened. We become a nation of fools. And then they became atheists and pagans. God will anger them with wrath from the Gentiles. So they believe that they use Gentiles to represent God's wrath. But even in the end, we won't live, but they get to. So 2017, for a fire has flared in my wrath and burned to the bottom of Sheol, has consumed the earth and its increase, eaten down to the base of the hills. So Sheol is the realm of the dead. It burned all the way to the land of the dead. I actually would say that would describe California. I have heard that the reference that California, Hollywood, was named after... I think it was a wood that was supposedly used for like magic and spells. I imagine it would have been something that they used a lot of. Holy wood. You even had that Marilyn Manson album, Holy Wood, in the shadow of the Valley of Death. So he even relates Hollywood to this Valley of Death. California wildfires happen at this time. Burns all the way to the land of death. The land of the dead. That's a little bit of a coincidence there. See, some of these, you can toss them aside. You could say I'm stretching a bit because some of them I'm just trying to describe because I can't figure out things for. But there are definite events like that to where you can see that they tried to plan out something for the year. Yeah, my throat's getting dry. Just Sanguina says, so they are going to create scriptures to force God to fulfill it, flipping heaven and hell, above the same as below. Exactly. Now, they've always been about this inversion. They always try to invert everything, and when something doesn't work out, they just invert what they had beforehand. Like I've stated, they try to start off with worshiping Satan with their set worship, but when that wasn't working, they tried to switch to worshiping a hero of the Egyptian people, and they started worshiping Ra and Aten. But the people didn't like they didn't like worshiping this one god. And the thing is, they try to pretend like it's because, the Egyptian people, like, they were just pagans and they're against monotheist religions. Well, no, Akhenaten was a really oppressive leader, and the fact of the matter is, one of the reasons they hated monotheism was because Akhenaten stated that his god was a combination of man and woman. He separated the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Well, no, he combined them into one god, to one being, which the Egyptians viewed as rightfully as an abomination. So, where were we at? 2018, I will sweep misfortunes on them, use up my arrows on them. So more misfortunes. 2019, wasting famine, ravaging plague, deadly pestilence, and fanged beasts will I let loose against them with venomous creepers and dusts. So this is the start of this sort of thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that it says that this is when they let them loose, but it doesn't mean that they have attacked us with them yet. So it's worth noting for that reason. And then it says, I wrote that this is the start of the COVID panic. Soon after would be the grocery store shortages, toxic gene therapy, and in 2022, an increase in rabies cases. So, they probably let loose some sort of rabies thing. They're also sort of teasing a zombie apocalypse, so I wouldn't be surprised if this whole disease X thing that they're talking about ends up being a zombie apocalypse. Although I'm not stating that it is. I'm just stating that's a possibility. In 2020, the sword shall deal death without, and shall the terror within. To youth and to maiden alike, the suckling as well as the aged. So the sword represents a jab, you could say, which released the end of 2020. The Hyksos terrorized us and our families into taking the shot. Even children were terrorized into wearing masks and later taking the jab. I'm trying to stay on YouTube's okay side, but I'm probably failing. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens, happens.